Okay. Okay, חבר'ה, this is our last year of the year. This is our last year of the year. Die, 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 chairs, if the chaver can bring a few more chairs from the base medrash. Okay, let's do one more. Chavod Yosef, this is for you. Everything should go. Everything went well yesterday, 2 days ago. Yesterday. Shuva Hashem et Shebisei Gafikim Laneged. Shuva Hashem et Shebisei Gafikim Laneged. Shuva Hashem et Shebisei Gafikim Laneged. Ay ay Shuva Hashem et Shebisei Gafikim Laneged. Ay Hazoy Medina Medina Yitzoyno Hazoy Medina Medina Yitzoyno ay 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 Thank you for being with us. Dov, can you pour me a little bit of water? Thank you. All right, so we have, this is the last year of the week, for us, of the year. And I'm saying thank you, Hashem, Mamash, thank you, Kadosh Baruch Hu. And also to say, like with Azus, the Gedusha, you ain't seen nothing yet, Kadosh Baruch Hu. We're just getting started. So there's a famous saying that we say you could pass. Is this the right one? Yeah, you could pass these around. For those that don't have a sefer. The famous saying is that this is Shabbos Mevarchim Tavshin Pei Vav. This is really Shabbos Mevarchim Tavshin Pei Vav. Because based on a piece that we saw last year, I had such a cheshek to do it again this year. But I know for sure we did it last year. It's a open up just for those of that the sefer quickly Daf Tzadik Ches. Just the first paragraph over there, just to remind us of a famous Torah from the Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh that Rav Biederman reminded us of. And I remember I once said this one year in shul, and someone didn't hear who I said it in the name of. And then they came up to me after, this is years ago in Beit Stone, and the person heard, then afterwards came up to me after davening and said, who'd you say this in the name of? I said the Baal Shem Tov, and it was like, It was like you'll see what I'm talking about. Harav HaKadosh Baal HaTanya, Zchus Yagen Aleinu, Amar Mishem Rabu Hamagid Hagodol Ben Mezrich, Zchus Yagen Aleinu. It's not the pages I gave out, it's in the Sefer. So the Alter Rebbe said the name of the Magid of Mezrich, who said it Bishmei Kadisha Shel Moran Baal Shem Tov HaKadosh, Zchus Yagen Aleinu, the name of the Baal Shem HaKadosh, Sheb'Shabbos Zo Ein Mevarchim Sachodesh. It should have been Shabbos Mevarchim this Shabbos. I mean, we're still doing it for bringing, but there's no Yehiratzon and everything. Why? How come there's no Shabbos Mevarchim? Ki b'Shabbos Zo HaKadosh Baruch Hu B'chvodo Uve'atzmo Mevarchis HaChodesh. The Rebbeinu Shleim himself is giving. You can't really give the bracha for Birkas HaChodesh for Tavshin Pei Vav. That can only come from the Rebbeinu Shleim. That Hashem Yisbarach himself is benching the new month, which really means B'koyach Birkas HaChodesh Zu Ana Mevarchin Es Kol Shar Chodshei Hashana, and there in that level we're basically benching the whole year. And in that piece, the rest of the piece that we did last year, we see that it was basically a wake-up call to Rav Biederman was saying, Chaver, this is not a Shabbos. This is not a Shabbos you just have a nice thing to say at the table. This is a Shabbos where you want to put everything in it, and you want to get rid of anything that holds you back from growing and from feeling elated and from going inside it b'kedusha b'tahara, to go inside it with a newfound presence, a newfound appreciation of what it means to be a Yid, what it means to have Shabbos Kodesh. So now if you open up and Daf Reish Pei Vav is what we're up to, it's Hashgacha Pratis of the Torah that we're up to really relates to this inyan of what to focus on this coming Shabbos. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam sha'akol midvarei. The Torah we're going to be learning today, a short piece. There's a lot to do. It's Erev Yontiv, Erev Shabbos, so just for a few minutes. But the Torah we're doing today is about Kiddush. In Kiddush, especially it's based on the psukim that many of us don't say in our Kiddush. Im tashiv mishabes raglecha, asos chavatzech b'yom kodshi v'karas ole Shabbos oineg, ligdash adinei mechubad v'chibat u'me'asos v'achech mimtzol chevtzecha v'daber davar. So many of the halachas of Shabbos, Mamish, so many of the halachas of Shabbos are based on these few psukim. It's unbelievable. So many of the halachas. As tis'ana galadinai v'irkafticha b'moisei aretz, v'achalticha nachlos of Yaakov avicha ki pi Adonai dibar. What's the avodah chevra? What is Rabbi Biederman going to say to us that has to do with what is Kiddush telling us? But be'emes, I want to say, what is this telling us in terms of the last Shabbos of the year? If the Rebbeinu Shleim B'chvodo Ve'atzmai is benching the new, he's doing Birkas HaChodesh this Shabbos, that means that Kol HaSharim P'tuchim, everything is wide open, whatever that means. It should be something that's tangible, but every Friday here we're trying to find more and more tangible places on a Lamaisa level So it says like this, Im tashiv meshabes raglecha, on the bottom. Kasav Hashem Yishmuel, the Sochat Shover Rebbe, Schussi Agen Elenu says, Bezel Shana, Vehigit Kvod Kedushas Avi Admor Zecher Tzadik Chodesh V'Rocha L'Chayil Haba. What does it mean, Im tashiv mishabes raglecha? So the pshat is what? What is the pshat? Im tashiv mishabes raglecha? From?
Regular, what you do.
No, that's already drush. Those are already drushim. Huh?
Your feet.
Your feet, raglecha. You. We're so accustomed to run to the drush already. The pshat. See, during the week I'm walking around, I'm going everywhere. On Shabbos, I walk like a giant. By not walking, Im tashiv mishabes raglecha. So the Sochat Shover Rebbe says, what does this mean? The pshat is that you're not running around. HaPerush hergel shelcha. This is the word we said Motzei Shabbos at Slichas. Every year we say this. Rav Weinberger always says Slichas night is always, there's a name for it. It's called Sha'arayich Yerushalayim, the gates of Yerushalayim. You entering into the gates of Yerushalayim together, into Slichas night, into this place called Yerushalayim, called Makom HaMikdash, culminating, climaxing with Yom Kippur. But the pasuk says, Omdos hayu ragleinu b'sharach Yerushalayim. So I said it just like this. Omdos hayu ragleinu, if you want to go into Sharach Yerushalayim, Omdos hayu ragleinu, which means your hergel has to stop. Omdos, it has no room to go into Sharach Yerushalayim. What does that mean? You're open for anything. You're open for what Hashem wants to give you a taste of you. Omdos hayu ragleinu, your hergel. Rav Kook says there could be only one hergel a yid can have. You know which one? Targileinu b'serasecha, he says. Rav Kook says, there's only one hergel. That I have a hergel, that I steig. That's it. Other than that, hergelim, habits, omdos hayu. Why? Because Sharach Yerushalayim, there's no room for hergelim, for habits. But this is what I did last week, that's why I did it today. So he says, what is he saying over here? The Sochat Shover Rebbe says, Im tashiv mishabes raglecha. Hergel shelcha. Hainu, shelo yaseh ma'aseu al tzad hergel. This Shabbos, however you have your Shabbos, this Shabbos, should have nothing to do with how you kept last Shabbos. The way you approach each tefillah should be nothing. And we speak about this a lot. Sometimes Chaver and Shul, myself included, 100%. Especially when it comes to Rosh Hashanah Yom Kippur, but even on Shabbos. Oh, I remember, but last year we did it like this. Like, last Shabbos was stronger. Well, 2 years ago was strong. That's no. Im tashiv ragleinu. Im tashiv mishabes raglecha. Stop. That's not shayach. That thought has nothing to do with Shabbos. Nothing to do with Shabbos. And maybe, while we're tasting the soup, wow, in your mind, sometimes you even say it, and that's like the dumbest thing in the world. Sweetie, last Shabbos it was like really much, I don't know, you feeling okay? Yeah, why, what's wrong? I don't know, the soup is a hergel. You get the hergel habit, what it's like, shum davar, lo kashur, lo shayach, lo inyan shelano bichlal. Hainu shelo yaseh ma'aseh al tzad hergel, that what you do should never be al tzad hergel, u'mitzvahs anoshim ilumada, rak bechiyus chadasha u'beislavus, ad kan leshono. It has to be with new passion and with enthusiasm. Ad kan leshono the Sochat Shover. Now comes Rav Biederman and says like this. Ki lifamim machmas hahergel, ein ha'adam machshiv kahoigen is kedushas haShabbos b'shleimus. Quite often, you think you're in Shabbos, you think you're in the Kedushas of Shabbos. When these thoughts pop in, they yank you right out of Kedusha of Shabbos. She'asatan ze ha'yetzer hara mefase also she'eno tzarich lis'ametz kol kach lenotzelis yom HaShabbos k'debay. The seduction, the voice, the sound of seduction comes and says, listen, you already know what it's like. So you don't have to work so hard to feel, because you already know, you have that activated. That nigun will activate it. That shmuz will activate it. That vart that you say every year will be activated. And therefore, you don't have to lit ametz kol kach, ki debay. Ki debay means, kmo shetzarich, right? Kidaboi, in Aramaic, Kmoshet Tzarich. You don't have to Kmoshet Tzarich. Why? You already have this in you. You're not the Baal Tshuva. And even if you are, you've been frum for 10 years. It's fine. You have it. You have it going already. Chas v'shalom. And then he says, but that's not the only reason. Why also shouldn't, and this is why this piece hit me so much for this Shabbos, why don't you have to try so hard if you're not feeling it? Look at the bottom line. Sharei yesh lo tashlumin b'Shabbos haba. Don't worry. Tashlumin. You could make it up next Shabbos. Chaver, next Shabbos is Tafshin Pei Vav. Has nothing to do with Tafshin Pei Hey. After the Tkiyah of the first day, after Yossi is going to blow after those first Tkiyahs, it has no shaykhus at all. Tafshin Pei, next Shabbos Shuvah, crazy, next Shabbos, the following Shabbos, he's not Tashlumin, but really in Emes, there's never really Tashlumin when it comes to Shabbos. But in my mind, if I'm not feeling it now, whatever, there's always next Shabbos. Yeah? 6 Yidden were killed yesterday. They don't have next Shabbos from last Shabbos. What do we know if we have next Shabbos? What do we know if we have this Shabbos? We have no idea what we have, how much we have it, when we have it. Hayayim. Torah Ein Reish Beis, Likutei Moharan. It's the only Torah Yid has to read these days. Hayayim B'Korles Yishmael. So since if I really live like that, then Hergel never becomes part of my deal. If I really live like that. I'm not saying what was yesterday, and I'm not expecting that what tomorrow is supposed to bring will bring. V'hine pshita shadvarim betelim hema. The Rebbe says, this is shtus to talk like this. Chol Shabbos v'Shabbos hikdusha b'fnei atzma. Every single Shabbos is its own world. Its own hisalus ha'olamis, a completely new world. V'chovas ha'adam li'ischadesh midei Shabbos b'Shabboso. You have to be mischadesh every single Shabbos. Someone came to me once and said, it's very hard to follow you. I'm like, why is it? Because you never sing the same nigunim from week to week. And he said, and I came here because it's supposed to be a Karbach minyan, he said.
Because that's how we advertised the place.
Right, it was advertised as, right. Yeah, I said to him, you think Reb Shlomo would be able to sing the same, like, do you really think he would do? But he didn't. I'm like,
How many nigunim do we have?
That's what Rabbi Fund always said.
what's that?
Rabbi Fund would always say.
He would say that, right?
Karbach didn't daven a Karbach daven.
Never. And he would know, Reb Meir, and he would know.
Always Kadash.
V'chovas ha'adam lischadesh midei Shabbos b'Shabboso. There's an obligation on a person to renew themselves every single Shabbos. Ve'lo lihitaba chas v'shalom, not to sink, not to drown, chas v'shalom, berikshe ha'hergel. It's easy, he says, this is drowning territory. What you become accustomed to and habits, even if they're holy habits, they're still habits. And those things can drown you. They have this koyach to mamish pull you beneath the water. Chas v'sholom berikshe ha'hergel, sha'yetzer menaseh le'achshilo. Od pirush Hashem Yishmuel. One more thing he says, the Sechet Shover, b'shem Aviv, harav HaKadosh Baal ha'avnei nezer. Zchus yagen aleinu. Remember who the Avnei Nezer's father-in-law was? The Kotzker. Shebechol yemos achol hanefesh mosheches lemala ve'aguf moshech lemata. This is a beautiful line. Every weekday, the soul is pulling you up, but the body is pulling you down. Ubiyom HaShabbos, shuv ein haguf misnaged la'nefesh v'nasa shalom. But somehow, there's no milchama between the body and the soul on Shabbos. And there's shalom. Like all week long, the tension that we feel really stems from the fact that there's an internal battle taking place, whether we're conscious of it or not. That my soul is telling me, just follow me. And the body said, I've been burned before, I'm okay here, I'd rather stay here. And there's a milchama every weekday. Shabbos comes, and suddenly there's shalom between the two.
Now you gotta eat.
What's that?
So now you have to eat.
But you do it exactly. But the achila is being really drawn, to a higher
I
place.
mean, there's some people that not, the gavoa, the tzaddikim. They find it hard to eat. You can't.
Of course.
You can't find it
Of
hard to eat on
course.
Shabbos.
Of course.
There's so much shalom between your neshama.
Of course. But they nachon.
You see the real truth, the truth of what's holy and what's not.
100%. 100% Avichai, 100%. Ve'efshar az lahafoch. So since when there's shalom between the neshama and the guf, efshar az lahafoch is kol inyanei raglecha. Hainu inyanei hapchitus. You can flip over all the inyanim of raglecha. Here he's saying it doesn't just mean habitual. It also means dvarim regilim. Or it could mean also lower things, like where the regel is. Raglecha, the bottom. You could flip it over, lahofcham lios, likdosh Hashem mechubad. This is what he's just quoting here from the Kiddush. Im tashiv mishabes raglecha, right? And then you could change it, likdosh Hashem mechubad, all the regel. Lahofcham likdosh Hashem mechubad. Bezeu ha-perush, b'divrei Agmara, shemadliki neros Shabbos mishum shlom beso. The Gemara in Shabbos says, that's why we light Shabbos candles, bring shalom and shalom. Who had that? What was that shalom in the home? What was that?
Shmuel goes half.
It's crazy that. It's crazy that. I know. There's a lot of schusses. Hainu, we're going to lift it up. Hainu kedei lehashor shalom ben aguf laneshama, that there should be peace between the body and the soul. Al yidei sheishabed is taivas aguf laneshama, umimela yargish is kedushas noyam hashabbos, like we say in Ko'echsaf, that we meshabed, we subdue all the taivas of the body towards the neshama. That's why it's so hard for them to eat, because they're saying, I have no idea what I'm going to do with this. But I have to have Shabbos meals, so I'll be Yotzei. I have to be Yotzei something. Remember the difference? I once heard this by old Breslover Hasidim. I said it a few times, but I've never experienced this. Bless me to experience this. They said, like how geschmack we feel when we had a whole meal, but we realized that we didn't bench, and we didn't even have something that would mechayev us to say, we didn't wash, and we didn't eat anything that would mechayev us to say in Alamichya, and we could just say a bori nefashos. Anyone ever happen? Like you eat a whole thing, somehow it didn't happen that you ate bread or
Kippur.
Huh?
Sushi.
Right, or it's right.
Potatoes.
Huh?
Steak and potatoes.
Right, so you're like, I feel so savea. And you're like, okay, I gotta start. It's never like, oh man, I don't have to. Right? Breslover is a big tzaddik. I have a sefer on his life in my library, and when I read it, I couldn't stop flipping the pages. His name was Reb Shmuel Shapira. He was known as the Saraf. He was like a malach. This Yidla was a malach. He was one of the leading Breslover figures, even though he would never call himself a leading Breslover figure. In the 70s and 80s, 60s, 70s and 80s, he was something else. Reb Shmuel Shapira. His son, I think, died last year. Reb Shimon Shapira was a big face in Breslov. They were big ovdim. What do? You're an ovid. Reb Shmuel Shapira said like this, or he didn't say like this. It was said about him like this. It was said about him that he would force himself to eat kazayas of bread in order to bench. In order to say the brachas, Boini Yerushalayim, in order to say these brachas, like this is really the level you're speaking about over here, right? So on Shabbos, of course, when we have these inyanim of like, Az tis'ana gel Hashem, it's a little bit hard to connect to the whole zach. I mean, listen, we have it really nice here, but many of us have been to 5 towns Kiddushim. I grew up in Beverly Hills Kiddushim. Listen, a Beverly Hills the Kiddush sometimes after davening, would feed it could feed like 50 yeshivas that I know of here in Eretz Yisrael for the week, These things have very little to do with Az Tis'ana Gel Hashem. Very little to do with Im Tashiv Mishabas Raglecha, the whole thing. But somehow, when there's peace between the body and the soul, there's a petach here to say, all those things that usually bring my neshama down, I could do it b'shalom, and I could lift it up. And then I could have a meal, and not fress, but I could eat like a mensch and not feel tired afterwards, and not feel yucky afterwards. And that's shalom between the guf and the neshama in this world. Eli.
Yeah, I had this chus to be by Best in Yeshua a long time ago, and got mates with the Reb Shimon Shapiro, and he would run around the minyan like looking for brachas. If you make a bracha on a coffee, he'd be there. I don't know how, it was
Running after the opportunity to say a bracha. Yeah.
And he wasn't young. So he
Oh no, he was the sandik by one of the brisim I was at by Reb Tzvi Kramer. He was the sandik there. Wow, it was unbelievable to see. This is the whole mitzias was how could I say another bracha? Meaning the shalom between the guf and the neshama was really running all week long, and on Shabbos it went even a higher madrega somehow. Im tashiv mi Shabbos reglecha. Okay, so just one more thing here that I feel is very important. We could add in over here as like a lemaisa, maybe thing that we could be conscious of this Shabbos to rip ourselves out of any hergel we may be used to, and that is that what do we do with the challahs when we say kiddush?
Cover them,
Why? Why do we cover them?
so they're not embarrassed.
Why won't they be? Why should they be embarrassed? What? Huh? Because you're making a bracha first on them, right? Okay, so now he goes deeper with this, obviously. Nohagim lechasos es achalos kidei shelo yira pas boshto she'ein mekachin alav ela alayayin. Exactly what you guys just said right now. This is the Torah says this in the name of the Yerushalmi. Someone yesterday, 2 days ago, I was in a meeting with someone who started. He was just challenging me. It was like really, really challenging me about Bavli versus Yerushalmi. Hardcore. I never had it like this, but like really hardcore. Like, do you learn any? When was the last time you quoted a Yerushalmi? He said to me, or like, things like that, right? And I said to him, you know what I'm going to do? Embaya. I'm going to go out of my way, be'emes, and try to make a notice of every time I say Yerushalmi, and see if it stems with with your whole mahalach hashiva. It's a person that feels that your Yerushalmi is not Bavli. We're done with Bavli. Like Gamarno. See what you guys look like right now. As I said that, say, we're done with Bavli, right? Are we done with Bavli?
I barely started.
Correct answer. What is it?
That Bobby started?
I Bavli started.
Shimon, in order to learn Talmud Yerushalmi, he had to forget Talmud Bavli.
You have to forget Bavli, right?
Another level.
Right.
So,
So this
Talmud
is
doesn't start learning Gemara there.
the halacha from the Tur is brought down in the name of Yerushalmi. What we just said, Zoto Meret, the inyan of going out of your way to not embarrass someone, must be really kashur to an inyan pnimius of Eretz Yisrael. It's a big tikkun that has to be going on here, because this halacha is brought down in the name of the Yerushalmi. That means that really in the pnimius, our avodah here is to go out of our way, out of our hergel, to make sure no yidla ever feels embarrassed, no matter what. Ume'ata yisak, in the top left column, Ume'ata yisak kol bar levav kal v'chomer le'atzmo. Take the kal v'chomer. You're so makpid that bread doesn't get embarrassed? Im ikpidu chazal shelo levayesh pat. Chazal was so makpid that bread doesn't get embarrassed. עד כמה צריך להיזהר ולהסרחה כמתחווי קשס מלבייש בר ישראל. כמו שכוסף רש"י על הפסוק, and this is, he says this so beautifully from Rashi. This is the end of Parshas Yisro. Like Rashi says in the pasuk, "V'lo sale b'malos al mizbechi." Remember what the vort is over there? Right. Lo tale b'ma'alot al mizbechi. It's a lot of different drushes there. Why? One is that there's Makom Erva is covered, and also Lo Talib and Malos al Mizbechi. When it comes to, right? Lo Talib al Mizbechi, don't hold yourself to be so high. So here he says, Rashi says, Vare Dvarim Kal Vachomer, Ma Avonim Halalu She'en Be'em Das Lehakpid al Bizyonan. You're also giving cover to the Avonim. You don't rush up there. You're giving cover to stones because they're holy and they have no das. Amra Taira. But they have a purpose in this world. They're serving us something. They serve as a conduit through which person ascends. And if something has a shlichus in this world, even if it's a domem, how do you say domem in English? Adamant? Inanimate. Object, thing, you give cover to that. The Torah goes out of its way to say, give it cover. Chavercha. Ve'esh be'em tzorech lo tinag be'em minag bizayon. Chavercha shehu bidmus yotzrecha. Umakpid al bizyono al achas kama v'chama. It's a great story in the bottom over here about Baron Rothschild. You'll see it inside. I just have to end now, but I think that this is a great way to just, even if we know the vort, When was the last time we thought of why are the challahs covered consciously and davened at that moment? Last week.
No, I'm pretty sure I heard from Reb Shlomo that what you covered the challahs at the table so they shouldn't be embarrassed, and then you're yelling at your kids. You know, you missed the point.
Yeah.
Right? It wasn't.
Very good. Thank you for bringing it up. Nachon. It's true. It's true.
No.
It's true. These are things that happen. Dvarim shebechol yom. But it's good to get us out of our hergelim. Do you know how many things we do on Shabbos that are holy, but they're out of hergel? So many things. This covering of the challah is a great example. Shabbos is filled with hergelim, and they're holy hergelim. But because we stop thinking about why we do it, there's no chiyus in it. There's no chiyus in it. A few weeks ago, one of the chevra came to me, said to me, "Wow." I said, "I was flying tonight in shul." I said, "Yeah? What chapped you?" He said, "I was making the tzura of a segol when I turned around, and I was saying, Toch emune am segula." I was like, and he said to me, and it never dawned on me. I never even thought about really why I'm turning around. You know, I just do it because why? Because and teva adam is that when you do something enough, it just is what it is. So the last Shabbos of the year, Shabbos Mevarchim Tovshin Pei Vav, is an amazing opportunity to rip ourselves out of not stopping to do things, but the hergel way of doing things. The hergel way of doing things. So that we go into this last Shabbos of the year like fire, with new chiyus, new islavus. There's 5 hands up. I'm sorry, I can't get to anybody. And we should really feel that we're going into this place called Tovshin Pei Vav that none of us have any clue what the Ribbon Shalom has in store for us, Lepirtei Pratim. But we have bitachon b'emunah shlema. We have bitachon b'emunah shlema. We're here. We're yours, Ribbon Shalom. We're not giving up. We're going to continue to try to find cracks in all places, make them wider, so that we can go through Pischuli Shari Tzedek to come inside and just bring you nachas. And just like on Shabbos, there's shalom between the guf and the neshama, there should be shalom between the heavens and the earth this Shabbos. Like real shalom between heavens and the earth. No Yiddish should ever have to be scared anymore. No one should chalila have to suffer. We should know of brisin, sheva brachas, bat mitzvahs, and all the good stuff. Be'ezer Hashem. Good Shabbos, good Shabbos.